Welcome back to the Gears Challenger Series Split 2 Phase 2 Week 1, man. That's a long title, hey, but it works because it is Phase 2 and a start to a fresh Challenger Series. I'm Taylor Reflections Noble, joined by Colin Crow Clark, moving into our second series. Digital Gaming, Hayabusa Black, they face off, and it's going to be a great one. You were actually talking about it towards the tail end of that last series we witnessed between Gods and Zephe, that the competition on the bottom of the bracket, these two teams are going to be a little bit more tighter in terms of the competition, and you expect a lot from these two teams.
I expect a lot out of them, especially Hayabusa Black, because they are sporting one of the, how do I put this? One of the most prolific players we've ever had. He was actually up through the ranks quite quickly way back when he really debuted on the pro scene in Gears 4, was voted breakout player of season 1. His name is Speedy. He ends up winning a world championship. But, you know, they've got a pretty tough task in front of them. Even with a former world champion, even with all that talent and guys like Flaw on that roster, they got a pretty tall glass of milk they have to compete with in this matchup.
Okay, normally it's a glass of water. Glass of milk doesn't surprise me. Papa Chalky Milk must be on your mind, okay? Let's talk about digital gaming. And I got to say, I appreciate the name. I truthfully do. And, you know, obviously for good reason. Toxiq, Maniik, and Nero, right? These are going to be the biggest hitters, at least in my opinion. Obviously, Gary is going to be there. But the reason why I say Toxiq, Maniik, and Nero, 3 members that competed for so long during the Challenger Series, and I think for a bit during the Pro League qualifiers, under Double R. In fact, this team, or at least that team with Toxiq, Nero, Maniik, and Double R, a lot of people felt, including myself, that they should have made it out of relegation, but they didn't. And now they're forced to play in the Challenger Series. Fair enough. But we know that story. We'll discuss that a little bit more. Talk to me about Gary being added onto this roster, Colin.
That brings a whole new level of slaying ability to this roster. Look, Nero, Maniik, and Toxiq, great players in their own right, able to actually go when bang with the best of them in a lot of situations. But we all know what happened in the relegation tournament. But we ain't talking about no relegation tournament. We're talking about the here and now. The only correlation I want to make is when they started to feel a little bit of the heat, when they started to get a little bit in trouble, somebody needing to get a kill here, somebody needing to find a slay there. Well, you found somebody that could do that for you. It comes down with the weight of the world on his shoulders. You could expect Gary to kind of go forth and bring pain, hellfire, and brimstone with him. So I really look forward to this roster adding a whole new bag of tricks to their repertoire, putting him in front spawns, maybe even putting him in 1v1 situations and saying, hey, look, normally we'd want you to play that slow in case we start losing that fight up top, but how about you win that bad boy for us and let us pressure the fight up top or play back and make them play in our hands. So this is going to be a big difference in their play style by adding a guy like Gary to me.
Adding that big flex player, right, makes a huge difference in Gary. That Swiss Army knife obviously should have a tremendous setback, much like we say of Zoom, right, for that team of Mars. That's why they were doing so well. Let's talk about our second team, though, Hayabusa Black. And this is the 3-man crew from Papa Chalky Milk. You got Beronny, Vino, and Flaw added in with Speedy, as you mentioned, world champion. And you kind of recapped how much of a difference Speedy can make on this roster. But go ahead and break it down once again. What makes him such a great addition, and how do you think this 4-man stack looks as opposed to the old Papa Chalky Milk?
Well, you know, I think this one is going to be a little bit quicker. It's going to be a little bit more slay heavy because you've still got a guy in Beronny and Flaw that are going to absolutely put people on skates. Now you've added one of the fastest players in the history of Gears. I know that the game itself has slowed down, but Speedy's ability to think a few steps ahead, to take fights much better than a lot of his predecessors, is going to give them that extra advantage, especially because Speedy, if he brings all that knowledge, think about that Ghost Gaming Championship roster. It had a coach in Fatal Strike. It had a GM who's a former coach and a professional player in Jacob MVPR, who I know worked a lot with that team. So that's a 2-headed dragon of knowledge getting dropped on those players. Speedy, while he has been known to have some of his issues when it comes to team chemistry, what he's looking to do is he's looking to have people play to a standard, play up to his level. So I feel like what he's going to do is come to this squad and say, I've got great guys around me now. They all have a fantastic set of skills. Let's bring them to that championship level. Let's elevate their gameplay, because that can only allow me to be propped that much higher up and return to that championship form.
And without question, Speedy has always been one of the most talented members in any of the Challenger series that we had. I guess it's just about getting a team around him that, could just do fairly well. And I think he's going to have that with this roster. Let's take a look at our pick and bans. I want to see if the old RR roster is keeping with Asylum, and they are. So Digital Gaming, obviously, Toxiq, Maniik, Nero. I talked about how they were RR before. They love the map of Asylum. It was their bread and butter. Granted, there were teams that could smack them on that very map, but we'll see if Gary does make a difference. But that's going to be map number 2. I like to see they're keeping things consistent. Hayabusa Black, though, going with Training Grounds, and fair enough. And I have seen Speedy, just to go back to him, I have seen Speedy make some phenomenal plays on TG, and that makes me excited to get to see his showcase debut with this new roster on that very map.
Definitely going to be able to see a lot of Speedy's influence on a map like Training Grounds, whether he be having a fight through the middle of the map, maybe even going to that U and helping his teammates take that initial fight at the backside of the U, especially in second half. Training Grounds, to me, is going to be a fantastic map for them. But what I'm more curious about, to be honest with you, is that Harbor pick. Look, if I'm three out of the 4 of those members of Digital Gaming, Harbor is literally Elm Street, because right now Freddy Krueger is just prowling around. There is a nightmare waiting to happen on that map 3, because that is just bad juju. I don't know why on your first day back under the bright lights on a big stage of Challengers semifinals, you'd let Harbor slip through the ranks and through the cracks. I hope it doesn't come back to bite them. But I'm just saying, if they win their map pick Asylum, which they've always been pretty good at, over on the other side, Hayabusa wins their map pick. We're going to see a pretty interesting matchup, if you ask me.
It definitely could be. I agree, because, you go back to the old RR roster. They definitely, I don't know, something on Harbor just didn't work out for them. And one guy that brings it really kind of all back to me from that roster on their Harbor matchups was Beronny. I don't know. And Vino, too. Like, those two guys just couldn't get it together on that map. They just always struggle, which is funny, because when I look at those two guys, they're big playmakers, right? They're big. Vino, for example, would take those 1Vs. He was always a solid 1v player on other maps. Beronny obviously does Beronny things. We've seen him do it. He's a dominant slayer, at least he can be. That winch fight or stern fight should go his way, but for some reason it just doesn't. So you're right, it could be Nightmare on Elm Street, and Freddy Krueger obviously could be the roster of Hayabusa Black, looking to haunt them, especially after that series is done and they take the L, which could actually happen. But hey, that's for the future. Let's focus on the now. We're moving into our map number 1, Training Grounds. And again, this is going to be a great start overall. RR wasn't, the old RR roster now, of course, Digital Gaming wasn't, slouches when it came to Training Grounds. Were they an exceptional team on that map? No, they weren't. I definitely can remember them playing against, Mars time in and time out on Training Grounds and losing 5-0-5-1. But Hayabusa Black isn't Mars. So this is going to be a different matchup in its entirety, and it's going to be a great gut check if you want to just see how these two teams are going to play it out. But let's see how it all unfolds, Colin. I'm ready to get this underway.
Out end of the spawn, and already the difference. Look at the way that 2 players from Hayabusa Black are stacked up at their home hill, lancering across over to that god spot. Hayabusa Black with the mid-neutral and the home hill already, and now the defensive stand comes out. Beronny has some help there over the top. And that's Speedy and Beronny playing together. That is a scary duo to be flying down the hill at you. Maniik will find one sneaking, and those are the things, those are the mistakes. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I know it's only round 1, but you cannot, without a doubt, if you know somebody's not dead, just up A and fly toward a hill. That's never going to end well for you, and it's never going to make your teammates' life easier. You see already the side of Digital Gaming trying to find that next angle, that next spot to try to press through the defense of Hayabusa.
Yeah, and something they're going to struggle with, I think, whether it be break-in defensive setups or setting up defensively, two, vastly different things, but 2 things that traditionally this roster of Digital Gaming has struggled with in the past. And that's where maybe, you know, Gary, that Swiss Army knife, as we just called him, could make a difference. He's pushing in aggressively. Bit of a team pickup. Chain revives trying to come through, but and actually they do, in fact, are there. The trade will happen there on the Speedy, so a break does occur. It was looking a bit, you know, testy for Digital Gaming, but they managed to make it happen. But they're down so many points. They still have a lot of work to do, and they got to rotate over to B, but obviously that leaves, you know, Charlie kind of open for Hayabusa Black to take over, and you can afford to give them their own home hill back.
Yeah, and look at the way that they still have the win condition. This is not going to flip, ladies and gentlemen. Digital Gaming has to get a decap somewhere on the map. That's a Nero is down now, and you see them trying to pressure through the spawn area of Hayabusa. They get one. Nero finally goes down after the up A carry, just trying to play his life, going for a little bit of flash and dash, a little shoulder shimmy shake. He's going to go down. That's 2 dead. B-Hill will be a 1v1 here momentarily, but already Hayabusa decapping their home, and if they recap it, that's going to get it all the way down to 15 seconds before the round is ending. Maniik is going to roll into B, try to stop that point accumulation. He's finally getting the break there. That's going to buy him just a few moments, but with that death, again, this is that scary situation if you are Digital Gaming. These are the situations that you ended up falling in. Now, with 10 seconds to go, you got to fly to see. You get those 2 kills, congratulations, but it's going to be too little. It's going to be too late. Hayabusa, they will strike first and win round number 1.
In a pretty convincing fashion as well, right? They had the lead, a tremendous lead, and even to the point where the 2-1 ended up going to the side of Digital Gaming, it just wasn't enough to flip the script. So very well done. Solid first round for Hayabusa Black and away to get things started off. So an Overlook fight, you know, we really didn't see a big engagement there off the initial, and the reason why is obviously because the roster of Digital Gaming kind of stood back, right? They didn't they didn't push as aggressively as they could. So Hayabusa Black was able to retake that, or take that, I should say, off the initial pretty easily, but we might have a different story here. Both teams are going to be a little bit more aggressive here, and in fact, both teams thinking the same way. They're wanting to send one player on the flank, but they've kind of been spotted out.
See up top, Toxiq is going to go for the back A. He's going to get a little bit of shots right there, but the Lancer damage from the back of the U is going to get him down. Now you see the trade come out. Good job, but Nero is down now as well. They're going to clean him up. Here comes the 2v1 over the top. Gary with one back A and a full spread. I hope we get that in slow motion, because that thing was a picture-perfect shot from Gary. You saw every single pellet completely exposed on his body. My man hit him with the bird shot from hell. He took out 3 or 4 pigeons. That old dog from Duck Hunt is just happy as a clam right now in that pond.
And I hope the people out there know what Duck Hunt is, because now me and you are getting older, Colin, to the point where that reference is going to be lost to the younger generation, and I'm not going to lie, it makes me depressed. Well, we see Digital Gaming going to get to see a different look from them, Colin, given the fact that they do have the lead. They have Bravo and Charlie. They've got the points in their name, so now we get to see a little bit of defensive work coming out, and well, Toxiq's going to be down low. Gary's going to be helping out his teammate to maybe defend against Beronny, who's going to be potentially pushing up, but a bit of a stalemate on this Overlook position, and I'm curious if Hayabusa Black commits on Overlook, or do they commit for the Bravo push? Well, here comes the Bravo push. Vino and Beronny are out. They're going to be good behind that cover. They're going to get the decap plus full cap, but they got to worry. Toxiq's coming from mid. Good reaction from Digital Gaming to readjust. Vino now going for the team pickup. Not going to happen, and a great hold. Toxiq was the linchpin that was successfully able for Digital Gaming to obviously stop that push. Well done.
Now the roll around, Gary will go down. Digital still holding on to the 2-1 hill advantage. You see Hayabusa starting to fly through the backside of the map. This is going to be an all or nothing push for them. They're going to have to get decaps everywhere. They're going to start here at B. They will get it. I don't know if you even stay for this hill. You don't really have that much time. You might want to try to find those kills, find that next player in your face. Flaw is going to try to go through these steps right here. I know you famously call them a set of baby steps, their reflections, but they're just a set of stairs, just normal. Nothing baby about them. They're just, you know,
okay,
less of them than normal. But here you go. The push comes through at C. They get 2 more kills, but not in time, not enough. Same story, different page. Beautiful job there by Digital Gaming to hold on.
I try not to say baby steps anymore. I really do, because I call every steps baby steps. But there was a time where I was casting, I think, an E-Days or something, and one of the teams named themselves Baby Steps. And I felt quite attacked and offended because I was like, that was absolutely directed to me. And I think that was E United at the time. So they directly... You know what? It's a love-hate relationship. It truly is. And I want to make this clear. I have nothing against E United, like, at all. The org, the players, the social media manager, just fun dialogue. But sometimes I feel they really do hate me, you know? And I'm like, man, please don't, because it's just all fun and games.
You know, it's all fun and games until I get my feelings hurt. Then I lash out like a king cobra. All right, Taylor, I'm just going to put that in the universe now for everybody to have to deal with. But we come to round number 3. 2-1 hill advantage in favor of Hayabusa Black once again. You see one player playing through the bottom of the overlook. Retro Lancer from Speedy. Picture perfect. Had a little bit of help from Vino there. They get the down. They're going to finish him off as well. Now it's a 3v4 on the map, and once again, Hayabusa can play some more defense, force out Digital Gaming to play a little bit longer, extend their forces a little bit more, get that point accumulation to be that much greater. But Hayabusa went for a little bit of an OE there. It looks like they pressed all the way up just outside the spawn of Digital. Flaw is stuck right here. This is bad sledding for him.
I was just about to say, if he can get out of there, maybe this is going to be good positioning from Hayabusa, but Flaw has no choice but to fight. But you talk about fighting, takes down one, and that was kind of all he needed to do. Now Nero can't do anything, at least at this point in time. Toxiq's going to be there to go ahead and get the decap into full cap, but Vino unfortunately pushed back, and I guess Nero will break out of that positioning. I thought for sure he was going to be pinned up a little bit longer than he was. Now Hayabusa Black, though, finds an opportunity to keep the 2-1. They send player 8 over. He's going to be able to get that decap plus full cap onto A, and of course that's Speedy nonetheless, making that big move. And they still have control of the overlook, so they can rotate right back and forth if they need to, and they might need to at this point in time if Gary decides to push up with his teammates. But Digital Gaming's going to try a bit of a different approach. They're going to send 2 players, it seems, on both home hills, but unfortunately their first push seems to be falling apart. Toxiq's going to be the last one up. Big 1v1 versus Beronny, and this is going to be a big win for the man of Toxiq, and honestly a must-win at this point because they're down so much, but Beronny's holding his own and he gets it, and that should be the round for Hayabusa.
He played that perfectly. The way he was able to keep himself top of those stairs, not putting himself in chunk range, not giving any opportunity for them to get the one hit acquit of, just absolutely a fantastic job. Vino's going to finish another one off. A little stat pad here at the end of the round as they get the triple cap domination to come on through. That will be 2-1 in favor of Hayabusa. Both teams are about to be on the precipice of this map win, because both teams have won on their right hand coming out of theater spawn. Somebody has to win out of House of Sovereigns sooner or later.
And normally that team that does so should end up ahead. It's almost like Vasco, right? Winning that undesirable spawn. But let's change it up a bit, right, Maniik? Let's go ahead and place something down to really fight for force that engagement and overlook. And I'm here for it. I truthfully am. I want to see what both teams are kind of up for. So far, they've been sending in long shot, fair enough. So far, they've been sending 1 player to fight for B, 2 players to go for overlook, and then 1 down low to fight in that hell position, maybe to go for the overextension or cross into B. But that setup doesn't necessarily work here, so I assume they're going to commit a little bit more. For Digital Gaming, they're actually going to go ahead and send player 2 over. I thought he was going for B. Okay, so he does stop for B, so now the fight is here. Bit of dismantles, though. Gary needs to be careful. Might overexpose himself. Shock's going to be there. Vino now is going to be able to angle out one with his teammate of Beronny. Toxiq in a bad spot. He's going to be Lancered down, and Digital Gaming is starting to fall apart. Nero, bit of a misroll, and I think he was expecting the competition to be a little bit further back, but unfortunately, they were right in his face to finish him off.
Hayabusa stretched out to the home-to-home stretch. They got 1 person overlook. The sniper, and Vino finds 1 set of eyeballs to will create yet another orifice for them to throw bullets through. And he does the same exact thing to Toxiq. Somebody stop him. You know what? The round is going to stop him. The game itself said too much. That's too much. Just you go back to spawn. Go back, and there you go. Look, they won off a House of Sovereigns. That's the round they needed to win.
Yep, and you know what? Just cut the suspense. 50 seconds, finish it off nice and clean, right? That was a very clean round for the boys of Hayabusa Black, leading now 3-1. And funny enough, that comes off of the back of Digital Gaming with Maniik placing down that long shot. So it seems to have benefited Hayabusa Black, which fair enough. You have a lot of very aggressive close quarter combat specialists on Hayabusa Black. So maybe placing that long shot wasn't the best of plays per se. But one of the things that they didn't have last round was, you know, the instant kill potential or the shock. Now they do have the instant. We'll see if that makes an impact. And Vino better be careful and not get pinned up. Luckily, the instant will miss him. The shock is going to pin Gary and Toxiq. But the benefit, I guess, to the instant is the fact that Hayabusa Black can't push up yet. So Gary's going to be able to lance her out. But they're not out of the woods just yet. They still got a couple more players from Hayabusa to pick off. And they do. Flaw lasts alive. He's going to go in and back off and try and keep the round alive long enough for his teammates to get back in.
See Flaw trying to overextend here, trying to get back to his own home, coming back across the map. He had to run all the way back over here to try to pressure up on a Nero. Nero misses that shot off the double bounce, and they get that first kill. That's a 4v3 on the map now. You're going to have to be able to play some defense for Digital. That's a good body shot. That'll slow him up. But I'm not sure how much it's going to stop them from pressing toward the U. Sniper in the hands of Gary. He's going to be getting a back A there onto Speedy. No damage really done yet to Gary. He's got a teammate in the pocket right now, helping him out. That's one down. And a second comes through, shoots the pillar. Gary, that ain't no flesh you can rip and tear through. Beronny, though, he finds his mark. He gets that kill, and now he's going to play Ring Around the Rosies. He tries to get his health back onto Toxiq. I think he's going to go to the backside of the U. You put yourself in the middle of that E hill, and you will be able to get Lancer down. Triple cap domination coming in. That's going to force him to get it. No, it's not. They make it to their home hill in time. Beautiful job there by the side of Hayabusa.
It was just about the compliment, especially in that last fight for Overlook. Hayabusa Black is great at getting back into the fight and sending their numbers immediately back in to try and retake control. But Digital Gaming is doing a great job at holding them back, and that's because they're fighting for each other. We're seeing a couple of shaky moments, specifically mentioned by Gary, but he seems to clean it up at this time around in the second engagement off of that shaky fight on Overlook just before when he had the long shot, and he's going to try and angle it out. Great shot. Good spacing on the Speedy, and Digital Gaming is starting to heat up quite nicely. This should absolutely be their round to bring it up 2-3 and an important round, right? This is a swing round, in fact, to keep them back in it. Hayabusa Black has one more push left. They only have 10 seconds and a lot of ground to cover, and it's going to be too much in the end.
Going to be too much in the end. You see the kill feed light up blue, a lot of bouncing, a lot of little excess fights going around. Just a little stat pad in there for him. Beautiful job to get it to 3-2 here in favor of Hayabusa still. This next round to me will be a big telltale round because Hayabusa still will have that utility weapon placement advantage unless they decide to put a power weapon here, but I don't really know why you do that. Hayabusa can just upgrade to the retro opposite side of the map and go for their incendiaries unless they want to place Incins or something along those lines on that center line. And nope, they're going to go exactly with the oldies but goldies. They're going to go to the retro and really try to make the side of Digital Gaming play into the hands of some utility fire if they try to go for the home-to-home stretch.
Player 2 is going to send out once again Maniik, looking to go home to home hill. He did that off the neutral whenever B was there in the first half. Now he's deciding to do it once again, but this time fighting over on the other side. Vino's been playing very well. It was a great shot on the Gary, of course, quickly answered back by Nero, and Flaw also flaws. Toxiq can't get Speedy, so one more player from Hayabusa still there. Matter of fact, actually two more players, and what looked to be a great start for Digital Gaming could be going to the way of Hayabusa, as unfortunately Digital Gaming, they sent Maniik all the way over, but he's forced to back off, but for good reason. They're now going in for the neutral, and despite them giving Hayabusa Black their own home hill, Digital Gaming, little bait and switch, takes to 2-1, secures the neutral, and puts Hayabusa Black in a spot where now they have to try and retake control. Now the only question is, how do they go about it?
Vino picks up the retro, which was never picked up, by the way. They went for the home-to-home stretch, and they did not pick up that retro. Honest to God, I would have stole it, took it in the fight. But
could have
whatever.
been Maniik.
You can make whatever decision you want. I ain't mad at you. Now you're going to see Hayabusa have their utility rifle coming back into the fight. It'll be in the hands of Speedy, who will be in the heaven spot trying to Lancer out onto Nero if Nero tries to return fire. But he's in a pretty nice little cubby corner here, able to find a lot of shots, and is not going to be able to get Lancered up on by Speedy at all once you hang out in this corner. Here comes the flashes. They don't have any smokes either, so they went for full stuns. They went for a full flash and dash situation, and you can see just how many downs are coming out right now for the side of Digital Gaming. The first kill will go over to Beronny. Beronny goes to the up A, won't be able to find it, tries to bounce wide. He's going to go down to Maniik. Meanwhile, the kills are traded up top of the Overlook as well. So it's going to be Maniik versus Flaw here at the E-Hill. Nobody else in the fight. No, there's one more person at top overlook. That's Vino. So they have a 2v1. Now a 3v1 as Speedy rotates the retro over, but up over 200 points.
Yeah.
Hayabusa, you're going to have to find a horse, and you're going to have to get on him quick.
And I think at this point, Digital Gaming respects and understands this, but I thought they were going to turtle up, which is what most teams would do, but they're choosing to use offense as the best defense, and they're trying to push up a little bit more. Nero is going to be up and just try and keep him at bay as long as possible. He's been snubbed up. It's one less player Digital Gaming is going to have, but you can see them once again pushing forward, and Hayabusa Black is going to have some presence on the home hill of Digital Gaming, but Toxiq is choosing to back up. He's going to get the finish on Beronny. Can he get the two-piece onto the other? No, he cannot. Flaw picks him up, and he's going to be able now to challenge Maniik. Maniik is able to lock in D, Lancer out Flaw, get the finish, and for good measure, Digital Gaming locking in F, and that's 2 rounds in a row, and what looked to be a phenomenal start after the 4th round for the boys of Hayabusa Black quickly answered for Digital Gaming. Well done.
I'm curious here. What's going to be going on is I think you're going to end up seeing Hayabusa, I think, needs to change something. They're probably going to go for the incense, which back-to-back rounds, even with the extra utility in the area, you're not winning these rounds. They're now going to go for a 60-second retro instead of Incend even. This is just a confusing matter to me. This isn't exactly what I would expect out of a team like Hayabusa Black, especially with the guys on that team that are there. So they need to find something. They're going to send somebody over to that retro to begin with. They're going to send, I believe, Flaw over there to pick it, and they do. Now it's a 4v3 in favor of Digital over here, and Flaw's going to have to get over here to help out, but Beronny's already fully Lancered down. I mean, just picture perfect angles out of Digital Gaming, get that first down. They got a couple of people in the area, but they're not able to clean that kill just yet. Now they get 2 downs. Nobody has revived Beronny in the back of the U yet. Nobody went over there to help him out. Whereas Digital Gaming has 3 revives to still have all 4 players alive. I hate to break it to you, but that's going to come back to bite you, Hayabusa. You cannot play that game. That is the... Oh! Yep, indeed. Yes, sir.
You know, I love watching the players who have the power weapons utilize them and get eliminations, but I think I enjoy a little bit more gore in my life, so I enjoy seeing the receiving ends, right, instead of the giving ends sometimes, because it's just so abrupt. You know what I'm saying? It's like the Sopranos ending, okay? Everything just goes black, everybody's pissed off and is thinking, what just happened? Probably still some sore feelings about that, Colin.
It hurts me, dog.
Fair enough. Well, hey, I gotta say, though, you know, for Hayabusa Black, again, I'm going to go back to where I complimented them earlier, and they always are super quick to get their reinforcements and their numbers back into the fight, back into the engagement. But Digital Gaming is doing such a good job at spacing out that fight. They're not giving Hayabusa what they want, and that's that close quarter engagements. Gary, he's going to give him a little bit of taste of their own medicine. Oh my gosh, he gets away. I can't believe what I'm seeing. He should go down. Thank goodness he does. If he would have picked off another player from Hayabusa Black just now, I would have lost my mind.
I would have loved to have heard that, though. E-Hill's going to be retaken by Hayabusa. He'll come back into this, but it's going to take a full minute unless they get a decap at D, but there's no real reason to go after that. You can settle up, play some defense here, and try to force a mistake out of Digital. A flash comes in, not necessarily the situation that you need it to be. You're not going to pressure up. Here comes the double push up top. 2 downs come through. Nero's in the area for the revives, and there's the... I swear to God, did I just see another Hayabusa clan person not pick up their teammate?
You even lost your... You're about to lose your mind, too.
I'm rubbing my forehead in frustration. I am so flabbergasted. And twice in the same round, I have watched Digital Gaming revive their teammates and win the team fight, and it's like they didn't learn their lesson.
Well, you know, there is one piece of positive to take away from this, and Hayabusa does at least play the objective game, so that's going to keep them up with the lead so far, and they're doing a great job at holding on to it. Maniik is going to be able to lance from Overlook, but Toxiq is still in a 1v2 and easily could be within chunk range. Prime example, Vino takes him out, and this should be a Hayabusa round. They're going to be on all hills at a time. Nero has the long shot, but he's up close and personal. Switches over to the Asher, picks up one, can't get the second, and Hayabusa will lock in the round to bring it 4-3. Obviously, they're not tying up loose ends. They're letting players bleed out, but at the end, though, they're still getting the win, and that's impressive, and that comes, again, from the overextensions, the objective work in general.
You don't have to do all that if you just win the team fight back at E. You I'm not keeping secrets over here, Taylor, but it's whatever. We're going to move on with our life. Beautiful round by Hayabusa Black. They get their 4th round on the board. They'll bring us to round number 8 incendiaries now for Hayabusa Black. They go to the 60-second retro for a few rounds, but now they switch it over to that utility. Definitely going to be answered back with a shock in the favor of Digital Gaming. And we see, once again, it'll just be a big team fight. I'll be curious to see if either team sends somebody over there for that utility grenade. They played defensively. And if, honest to God, if I'm Hayabusa, I go pick the Incend and play defensively. Play back. Play to a position where you can lancer out the sniper or stop them from getting there and try to use your right hand at the back of the U to keep them out of there while you get the incendiary into the fight. And Flaw's actually gone across the map and taken the shock of Digital Gaming. So now Digital Gaming is going to have to push in. There's a down. Now it's a 3v3 stacked up here at the Overlook. The home-to-home stretch will go in favor of Hayabusa. Hayabusa has one more player to deal with, and that's going to be Toxiq. They're going to continue to lancer him out from the Overlook position. Keep him a little red. Toxiq has a 1v to win here against Vino. Vino back rolls, but still not getting this down in damage. Triple cap was threatened momentarily, but it's just not going to be enough right now as you see all 3 players from Digital back off of Respawn, pressuring toward the home. And Taylor, this could be a quick round, but I don't believe it's going to be because I don't believe Flaw is going to get all 3 of these kills. He's not going to even get 1 in that situation.
But that's okay. I mean, the lead is still there. Flaw, he just needed to stay up as long as possible. And if he gets the big nice shot from Vino. If he gets the big win, fair enough. If he doesn't, hey, his teammates are still set up defensively and ready to go. I just want to point out, by the way, I have seen more headshots tonight with the long shot than I think I see in an entire night with the long shot for Pro League. Like, I am very impressed with Vino connecting earlier. Obviously, the boys of Gods connecting, and even emissives too from Zephe, who ended up losing. So these guys, they're using that long shot. They're using it well.
Definitively using it well. You see Vino. Yo, you can't be sitting there right now. Vino's like, no entry, no deposit, no return, no ticket, no laundry, none of that. You cannot be here in this situation. You have to go back to Respawn. Toxiq is going to be coming up those steps here momentarily, and Gary's going to pressure the backside of the U, but Beronny just backing up, playing defensively, gets that second shot on, gets the kill and the hill. I love the way that Hayabusa has played this round, the way that they have played it, the speed in which they have played it, the defensive mindset. You see them rotate a player over to get a decap on the home hill of Digital, which is going to force even more players to go back there and not be able to pressure the E hill. It's going to be too little too late. And Taylor, take us home, baby. That's a 5-4 right there, a 5-3 right there.
It's going to be a 5-3. Hayabusa Black leading 1-0 in the series. They successfully win Training Grounds. Their map pick. They're off to a great start, leading 1-0. But of course, they still have Asylum to get through, the long-standing bread and butter for the roster of Digital Gaming, specifically when they were Double R, Toxiq, Maniik, and Nero. They loved playing on Asylum, but hey, you know, to kind of shift gears a little bit, no pun intended, they started to struggle a little bit whenever they we got a little bit further into the Challenger Series. So hey, Digital Gaming, you're gonna have to step it up. But Hayabusa, they take, or Hayabusa Black, respectfully I should say, because I'm sure they have multiple teams. Hey, they take map number 1. That's the important thing. They look strong. Like I said, their reinforcements, their ability to get numbers back into the fight when they were getting wiped out, when they were losing some members, was unmatched. It really was. But I will say, they ran into some troubles when it came to the spacing, right? The teamwork from the boys of Digital Gaming. That's something that kind of hurt them in the end. Plus, you also mentioned many, many times leaving those teammates to die out. That's something they're going to have to clean up.
Yeah, you're going to have to clean up not leaving your teammates to die. I just hate to see that kind of play, because even though, yeah, you kind of guarantee a death because a lot of people are just going to head down at you to try to pick one player off as you get the revive off, there are so many more times I see somebody get a little shaky in that department, so you get like a big chunk, you get a big brick on somebody, but you don't necessarily get the kill. And then you got a 2v1 that you're facing down where you have to stay out in the open to try to take the second shot to get the down, or you have to try to reset the fight and you end up dying. My God, those are beautiful headshots. So I just think that Hayabusa Black going forward, that'll be one of the things we hopefully see them clean up, because against the top tiers, against those, if they ever make it a pro league, when it comes to the major, whatever it may be, yeah, if you come up against those teams that do go for those revives and you're losing a lot of these team fights, there's a lot of teams that aren't going to give you that many chances. You aren't going to be able to come back in that many rounds like Hayabusa was against the side of Digital Gaming. Digital Gaming going forward, though, I think the biggest thing they can clean up right now is understanding that when they do get those team fights, pressuring up. They had a 4v3 over at E early to start that last round, and they ended up getting Lancered out from their own Heaven and Overlook up top because they didn't pressure the fights. They stayed in a position where they were going to get Lancered from behind. And yeah, I knew Hayabusa was going to play defensively. I know they probably didn't know that because they probably assumed they were sending a 4v4 over there. But the second you get a call out that there might be only 3, or if you even see that player try to rotate over, especially when you see him pick up the shock, he picked up the shock. It's going to be in your kill feed. Now you pressure up. There's no way you should.
So you mentioned obviously Harbor being a breaking point potentially for the boys of Hayabusa Black, and we could be working our way towards that. Asylum is the map Digital Gaming chose to play on, and again, traditionally that has been their bread and butter. We'll see if it is going to be the case. They have fallen off a little bit, but then again, now they do have Gary, and I will say this: Gary played very, very well in those team fights. He was pulling off some big moments, some big plays, and he's going to be that much more impactful. When you think about training grounds, you have those big 3v3s that take place on Overlook. You will have that in the second half of Asylum, but these players get a good opportunity to really flex their individuality on Asylum, specifically on that first half. You have the 2 go on tracks, the 2 go on streets, and it's going to be a great opportunity to really see which team has more comfortability in their duo, because we're going to have 2 different duos fighting it out. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see which one is a bit more comfortable. But I will say chat's been pumping up Vino, and for good measure. Vino is just playing very well. I've been very impressed with him, even in the previous Challenger series. He was one of the standout guys that I loved watching play. I didn't know much about him whenever he kind of came into the Challenger series for me, but now I know a lot more about him, and he can definitely perform well when needed to. You were right to call him, a talented roster, scary roster. They are looking to be the case, but of course they haven't closed it out just yet. They've got a couple more rounds to get through, right? They still have Asylum to get through. How do you think it's going to go, by the way, from what you've seen?
So we know how scary, especially Digital in their last iteration, was on Asylum, how good they were at closing out rounds, especially late in the second half. I think they might have made themselves better because for all of you that might have short-term memory loss, Gary on Asylum in our last major, in that the last major, in the winter major, Gary was phenomenal on this map. I know the game is a little bit slower, but that doesn't stop you from hitting the same shots, understanding the same cover pushes, going for those same shots over the cover. Gary used to make the E-Hill in that top ledge, that top entrance fight, his home away from home. He was more than comfortable in the second half of this map. So there's a part of me that while I think Hayabusa Black still has the talent level to really put up a great fight in this map number 2 and try to take it home 2-0, because you don't really want to go to that map 3 for if you're either of these teams because of both teams' struggles on it in the past. I just see this as a situation where Digital has to kind of win their bread and butter, and they added a tool to this roster that was so phenomenally good on a map like Asylum.
So I'm going back in my notes because I really wanted to kind of, dive a little bit deeper when it came to Papa Chalky Milk specifically. And the reason why I say Papa Chalky Milk naturally is there's 3 of those members do play for the side of Hayabusa Black. So I do have that they played against Mars on Asylum and they lost 5-1. Not taking that, I'm not taking that too crazy or at least too much into that. And the reason why is because, again, even though, for Digital Gaming, when they were Double R, Asylum being their bread and butter, they were also losing 5-0, 5-1. So everybody was losing, 5-0, 5-1, 5-2 to Mars, right? So I don't look too
Mars
deep into that again. And they really were. But, it's funny because they're not necessarily struggling in Pro League because they are having some close series, but not even series because they've lost 2-0, but close maps, I don't think
they've lost a map that wasn't 5-4, by the way.
Is that right? See, and that's a beautiful thing. But they haven't won either.
Map they've played, I know in the first week, every map they played was 5-4, which is like heartbreaking. Well, absolutely like disgusting.
In the first week, didn't they have Hive? No, they lost a Hive pretty good if I remember correctly.
And I think it was their first and their third games, but it's literally like I kept seeing Jip tweet about it, and I would go back and watch their POVs, and I'm like, Mars is literally like right there. Mars is they are becoming that team, so they are a different animal from a lot of these challenger teams, because to be able to put up fights against those Pro League teams the way that they are, and even though they're losing, the way that they're taking these fights, the amount of fight they're putting out, this is going to be a really interesting map. One way or the other, Digital and Hayabusa are completely different teams from what they were even last quarter, because Gary changes your genetic makeup a little bit, and the way that Digital fell in that last relegation tournament. Hayabusa Black with a little bit of a rotation in their lineup as well, with bringing in a former world champion in Speedy. It just changes your genetic makeup just that much more, especially when you thought you might see Speedy in those team fights. He was taking that heaven position a lot. He said, let me Lancer out. Let me give you the call-outs. Let me try to rotate my pawns in the right position so that we can get across the map and come away with a couple of queens and a checkmate here very shortly. This is going to be a very tough matchup for both of these teams, and it's going to start on that train track side. And I think one of the things that we're going to have to see is which team goes for that mid-entrance fight, that mid-cut fight in the bat cave even, to try to get the extra 90-degree angle down here. This is going to be a pretty interesting situation for both of these teams. And at 3 and 8, I want to see who those players are very quickly. It's going to be Speedy. Speedy playing the 1v in this situation again, so he's put himself in a position where he has to check. He has to check Nero here in the middle of the map, not to give up that positioning. And hey, remember me saying Gary is very comfortable in the entrance fight? He gets one, but he gets snuck. He got snuck by Speedy. That's all. He got snuck by Speedy.
Fair enough. Well, Speedy takes him down. A lot of blood being... Oh, Beronny taken down. Well done from Maniik. And that's going to be 3 alive on tracks for Digital Gaming. And a phenomenal start. I had to go way back in my notes, and lo and behold, I did find that Double R, Papa Chalky Milk, the 3 members on, Hayabusa, 3 members on Digital Gaming, obviously coming from both of those rosters. They did play each other in week number 2 for Gears Challenger Series Split 2 Phase 1 on Asylum, and it was Double R, so the 3 members from Digital Gaming who were able to beat Hayabusa Black, who were then Papa Chalky Milk 5-1. So they should have a huge leg up here. After all, it is still the same 3v3, if you will. But off to a great start as Digital Gaming, and maybe we will see history repeat itself and go to another game 3 as these guys have done in the past. They're well on their way to doing so. Digital Gaming pushing up hard. Speedy trying to be sneaky. Can't find. Oh, finds one on the corner. Goes in for the second onto Gary. Gary forced to back up, and Hayabusa Black stays alive.
Hayabusa Black staying alive in the situation. Another down coming out, though. Gary has to get picked up very quickly. They're going to have to pressure over to the Sea Hill. Now it's going to be a 1v1 here with, I believe, Vino trying to come through the middle, and he actually gets a little bit of help there. Beronny's going to get that kill. They're going to go for the decap here on B, and they're going to decap up the home hill of Digital as well. This could be a monumental collapse as Speedy catches him sliding into the hill. Triple cap domination. 2 more seconds away. Vino has 1 player behind him and flipped the script. Oh, my goodness.
That was wild. I got that, Colin. That was wild. All right, Speedy flipped the script, baby. Okay, Speedy flipped this. First and foremost, Speedy on that streets fight. Now I know he blindsided one. All right, a little bit sneaky, man. Not necessarily sneaky, but a bit sneaky in general. And try not to be suspicious. Okay, now you got that song stuck in my head, and I know you didn't do it intentionally, but you did it weeks ago, and it hasn't left my mind since. But then winning that fight on A. Oh my goodness, Speedy, great addition to this roster, clearly, and. Man, that's got me smiling ear to ear because I didn't expect that at all.
Go, go, go! Coming to round number 2, Taylor. I'm trying to. I want to try to figure out a little bit better of a way to explain how that first fight really broke out. You saw the flashes come out from Flaw and Gary. Gary ends up hitting it with a 1-hit a quit of Flaw. I don't know if you take that same fight right now.
Oh. No, he's going to go in and back off. And fair enough. I mean, if Digital Gaming isn't going to push up, that's fine. They do have a presence on B, but I think both of those guys on streets are kind of trying to figure out, do we win B? Like, hey, can we retake it comfortably? And if so, do we really need to commit too much on streets? Beautiful kills from Toxiq, though. Vino might be next, but... Oh! Okay, Toxiq actually does get it. I thought for sure Vino had that wrapped up like a nice little package ready to ship one day off to FedEx, but it doesn't happen. Vino doesn't hit the second shot.
Doesn't get it to go indeed. Gary up top at the entrance. He's going to be lancering down. He's going to try to find the little angles, the little pick angles down at the B hill as well. I like what Speedy's done. He got the call out. The 2 of them are going to be trying to pressure her across to the Sea Hill. They're going to bring 1 player back over to try to play defense at the home hill. Hayabusa Black once again has to answer back in this round as they're going to be down about 40 to 50 points here momentarily. Here goes the break on B. They don't have anybody that can Lancer out on the Beronny right now. It's going to be a back train. Speedy will push up. Beronny's going to try to get those shots at a weird angle, but Speedy's going to go down, and that should open things back up for Digital Gaming. They should have a complete control over this round.
Absolutely should, but, you know, 30 points. Is it going to be enough to hold on to? Hayabusa Black has been doing a great job at flipping the script, not only in that last round, but also even on training grounds. It looks as if maybe they might be able to do so once again. 2 members will fall. Toxiq now in a tough spot between Beronny and Vino. Bronny's going to clean him up. That's now 3 out of the way. Of course, the respawns are there, but this could have been the gap, the lapse in judgment Hayabusa was waiting for. They're going to push up on the streets. It's now going to be a 3v2. This is imperative Nero hits a couple of big shots, along maybe even side his teammate who's going to be right next to him. Either way, it is a big battle. Dog Team still has that lead. Digital Gaming understands we need to push forward. We need to alleviate this pressure, but they're not getting anywhere at this point in time. A couple of downs are going to be coming into place. Killfeed now starting to light up red. Digital Gaming might find a way. Flaw now going through, picks up 1. Can he get the second? Big dancing, and Maniik will fall. The other one is going to be down as well. Potentially Gary, there he is. He picks up 1, can't get the second. And Hayabusa Black once again flipping the script a little bit closer this time than last time, but even so, the same result, leading 2-0.
Beautiful second round by Hayabusa Black. Once again, they found themselves down in 2 different rounds and find a way to come back in both of them. It's a scary sight to see for fans. Excuse me, it's a scary sight to see for fans of digital gaming, but just having the ability to come back in these rounds is a good sign for them going forward. It shows the way that they're able to maneuver around the map and really have that big playability, that not even a clutch factor. It's just more of a, hey, look, we need to get a couple of kills. We got 1. Now let's just wolf pack around. It's a big playability. It's an overwhelming amount of slaying power. Round number 3 coming up very shortly. Once again, be curious to see which team decides to take this initial fight. Looks like neither team is actually going to play up. Here comes Beronny into the B hill. They get that first down. Good shot on the Toxiq. Third shot gets him down. Now they have the pressure ability onto this last player, and it looks like Digital has to pull somebody back. There's a quick revive off. 1 shot down for Maniik. And hey, by the way, isn't that what I said in the mid-game split there, the mid-map split there? You might lose a player to the insta-death of the revive, but you're probably going to hit that second shot coming out. You're going to end up winning the numbers engagement, which helps you win the rounds in the maps. Nero's going to go down back at home, and Hayabusa will continue to hold on 2-1 hills.
Yeah, it's really is like night and day. Hayabusa is fighting for each other. They're playing very well, and you can see now that they're starting to become on a different level or be on a different level than that of Digital Gaming, who is struggling once again to find a power balance, just struggling to fight for power in general. We'll see both teams setting up. Digital Gaming, obviously, though, the pressure's on them to get the break onto B. They're the ones who need to start trying to retake control, and it's not going to be easy. Vino and Beronny have been doing such a great job as a duo on tracks without question. Granted, Toxiq, I give him credit, but Speedy, though, and he is really going for it. He went no way near. Okay, if Nero would have lost his life there by passing up Speedy and getting behind him and allowing Speedy to get the chunk, that would have been inexcusable. But the fight is won. Digital Gaming successfully takes B. And now things are looking scary for Hayabusa Black. They have a 50-point lead. However, Digital Gaming is slowly pushing forward. I say that, but then Gary ends up beating down Vino, but ultimately Beronny wins his fight against Maniik, and he gets to break back onto B. That should give Hayabusa Black the momentum they needed to retake control, or at least hold on to it.
Gary's going to continue to pressure here. He's full red. He's going to be between 2 players of Hayabusa. They end up finishing him off. That'll open up the C-Hill decap. Hayabusa will still have the point lead. No points going in favor of Digital right now. And once again, Vino shots over the cover. Here comes that back and front train. They don't need to be here, but they're going to continue to fight over the home hill of Digital. They could play back because of how many points they've accumulated and how far ahead they are on the round. But, I mean, why not try to finish it off in style with a beautiful masterclass in team shotgun fight? Speedy playing alongside of him. That'll wrap this one up. That'll be 3-0 going into the final round of the first half. Hayabusa is dominating map number 2.
They truthfully are, and I think that's the right word to say, right? Dominating. Digital Gaming has had their moments. You go back to round 1 where they were in absolute control before the script was flipped, right? And then you even go into round number 2, And it was very neck and neck, both at 200 and odd points. And then obviously the domination came through for Hayabusa Black. And even in that last round, Hayabusa doing a great job holding on to control. There was a critical moment where one of the players from Hayabusa Black decided to push down. I believe that was Beronny, pushing down onto tracks, and he ran into Maniik, took him out, and obviously that kept Hayabusa Black back into it. They eventually take over their home hill, and then obviously you know how the story ends from there, leading now 3-0. Digital Gaming has to figure something out without question. Nothing is working, and I know second half, maybe they come alive, fair enough, but you really don't have a say in the fight if you're down 4-0 going into the second half. You have to at least win a round, and not go down 4-0 in the first half. Like that's depressing. Let's see if they come back though. This is their opportunity, but no, off the rip. Maniik, he's gonna lose his head, and that's a great start for Hayabusa once again.
Speedy will go down there on the trade. Nero will get that next kill, and now it's going to be a 2v2 on the map officially, as Vino's going to go underneath the overlook here, flash out onto Nero. He's going to pressure up onto him now. He's been hit with 2 huge bricks. I'm not sure how that stun didn't come through. It looked like that flash landed right at his feet, but Maniik will be the first player there to help out his teammate. They'll get a free kill. That's going to be 4v3 on the map officially, and it looks like Digital should be able to find their first round if they can clean up 1 or 2 more kills here.
And 2 more kills is definitely needed. Digital needs a round. They've got to stop the bleeding in some way. I would say they're still bleeding even being down 3-1, but at least it's a start and that much closer to potentially making it more of a competitive map. Beronny, good spacing, goes right back into it. Unfortunately, that head down doesn't work despite his aggressiveness. Vino picks up a couple of big eliminations. Digital going in for the domination. Player 4 is going to get the touch, and it looks like player 6 on tracks. It's going to be Toxiq, able to take down Vino. So at this point in time, Digital Gaming continues to hold on to the lead, but I believe we still have a lot of rounds to be played here, and we've seen Hayabusa Black call and come back, and the potential is absolutely still there. 60 seconds is a long time to hold on to control.
Definitely a hell of a long time, full minute before another retake can come through. And as we've talked about it, I mean, Hayabusa has shown they have big playability. They have a lot of slaying power as well. Flash is out. Toxiq's going to be a little red, but he's not going to go down just yet. Beronny will go into the hill. Beautiful back A right there as he spins his camera, hits that one shot there on the Nero as well. That's going to break that B hill and give it back to him. I believe one player is actually trying to rotate through the middle of the map now. I'm not sure if that's going to be coming back to bite the side of Hayabusa, as it's going to be another 1v1 at the top of the entrance, but Hayabusa's won it again. Now Nero is back off a respawn. He's back inside of his home. He misrolls right into Speedy, and he don't miss those, baby. That is a free kill on the board, and that is yet another monumental collapse where you said it had to take a while to win that round. Hayabusa said 60 seconds, that's all the time in the world, my man.
Hey, well, we both said it, Colin, 60 seconds. That is a long time to hold on to control. There was still a lot of round to be played, and Hayabusa, they knew the situation, they read it correctly, and you know, they stayed alive for as long as they needed to, and obviously long enough to formulate another plan to push forward and win in the way of domination. I believe all rounds have been won in the way of domination, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe a 250 is kind of snuck in there, but I'm impressed. I truthfully am. And for Digital Gaming, they lose this 5-0. That's going to be very telling, and a rough start to week 1 of the Challenger Series. I know this isn't how they wanted to go out, but after all, we have seen some comebacks happen just tonight. Of course, that was in reference to Gods and Zephyr here on Foundation, but we'll see if it's going to be much a different story here. Second half, maybe a fresh start is what boys of Digital Gaming needed.
See the flashes out. It's mounted up here at the E hill. One player down for Digital inside of the entrance. Good little shots there. They're going to force him to go ahead and die off. They're not going to give him any position to get back into the fight. Triple cap here at the E hill as well. That'll give him the early point advantage. And one of the things I got to point out that I think Hayabusa is just doing so incredibly well in this situation is the same thing that I said about Zephyr not being able to do it. Their ability to mark out a target and double shot him, like get the ability to get damage on him quickly. Retro will get another down there on Flaw. Gary's going to rotate into the home hill. Gary's going to try to go for this flank. Beautiful bolt talk into his body. We'll get some damage put out onto him, but what they're going to do is they're going to allow Gary to play at the home hill. They're going to try to take these fights here at the top entrance and across the middle of the map to come away with these fights. And there's a beautiful team kill.
Wow.
Team fight won by Hayabusa off the back of another revive by Speedy. Speedy understands that I might give up my life, or my teammate might lose their life, but we are going to win the 2v1 because of the revives. That, ladies and gentlemen, is going to wrap up map number 2. Domination by the side of Hayabusa Black. They played it to perfection. Not a single doubt, even when they were down in points and hills. The boys on Hayabusa Black looked like they were just absolutely comfy.
Absolutely. And you know, Speedy had a couple of big moments there to kind of dictate and change the pace of just the fight, right? I mean, Speedy, you go back to the first half and he was making some huge plays to flip the script. Vino obviously had some great fights on tracks. Flaw had his moments. Beronny obviously opening up the door to some big engagements. Just, I think the entire roster just played that so very well. The teamwork was there more so than it was on training grounds. And you can see the effects it has. They listened to Colin. All right, Colin, you said, look, you got to fight for your team, get those team pickups. And when they did that, magically they get a 5-0. Hey, big differences. They're readjusting, and that's a positive thing to see. Very well done. I got to say, you know, you hyped them up. Hayabusa Black, you've been on point all night tonight, whether it be singling out an individual for their good play style or even a full team like Hayabusa Black. Colin, you're a wizard.
I'm not necessarily a wizard, but I'll take a staff right about now and go walking in the woods for a few hours trying to figure out who's going to win this next matchup. But for now, I'm going to continue to hand out some praise, dole out some praise. It's not exactly things that Hayabusa Black didn't know how to do that they suddenly, you know, oh, well, Colin said it, let's start team reviving and win these team fights. Those are the things at the end of the day that veteran leadership and that a good coach is, especially watching the match, will help you remember. I think people forget a lot of times the kinds of things that happen when you play against teams that are pushing you as relentlessly as digital gaming was in moments in Asylum and even on training grounds. And that's where that veteran leadership of a guy like Speedy, that's where a good coach will help you understand those moments a little bit better. I mean, I guarantee you, I'm not exactly sure. I hate to say it this way, and I mean no offense by it. Shout out to whoever the coach is of Hayabusa Black. I hope he's in their comms. I hope he was saying some of the same things I was watching training ground, saying, hey guys, we're not getting some team revives off. Let's clean that up. Let's win these team fights a little bit more. So shout out to a coach if he's there in the comms helping him out. Shout out to Speedy for continuing to prove that things transfer, okay? I forgot to mention, I didn't even think about this. I know I gave props to Fatal and Jacob when Speedy won that world championship on Ghost. He played with probably one of our best teammates in the history of our game. I know a lot of people, they always talk about how good Slayers were. What they remember is guys like Mental and their ability to kill any and everybody on the map. You've got the Insanes, who were just the best fighting team on the planet for a long time. Jay Ribbs was on the same team as Speedy. If anybody's going to teach you to be a good teammate, to roll back, to revive, to Lancer, to understand rotations, my God in heaven, it's Ribbs. He will teach you all those little things, those little intricacies that will help you win games, because nobody probably studied the game more from an insider player perspective than that man right there, which is what helped them win a lot of those matches. So Speedy, to me, with that lineup, with that coach, they have a chance to really formulate something special here in Challengers